Okay, so if you just reply to my answers, it will be good. So it is a two-sided interaction. So let us have a quick recapitulation that what we have learned in our previous class. So today we'll be discussing about chemistry part. Okay. So in our previous class we have learned about the reaction of metallic oxides with acids, right? Then we have seen the reaction of a non-metallic oxide with base. Okay, so we saw that how these metallic oxides, that is copper oxide or zinc oxide or any other oxides which is having a metal, they react with the acids. Then the non-metallic oxides take the non-metals which is have oxidized, okay, and how they are reacting with the base. So that part we have learned in our previous class. So today we'll be discussing the next part, that is what do all acids and all bases have in common. Uh, Before I start this, I just want to know whether am I audible and the screen is clearly visible. Okay, just mention in the text box. Yes, so Atharva Sejal, then yes. Yes, I am audible and the screen is also visible. Very good. So today we are going to see that what do all acids and all bases have in common. So that is what is the common or the similarities there between acid and bases that we are going to see in this class. So to understand this, we have to perform an activity or to look at an activity, that is activity 2.8. So everyone open page number 22, there you will understand it clearly. Here also I mentioned. So take solutions of glucose, alcohol, hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, etc. So we have to collect some sample. So that is glucose, alcohol, hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid. Okay. Then fix two nails on a cork and place the cork in a 100 ml beaker. So what you have to do? You have to take a 100 ml beaker, then you have to take a rubber cork, then you have to take two nails and you have to place it. Okay. So here you can see in this picture we have taken a beaker. In this beaker we have taken a rubber cork and we have inserted or we have connected two nails. Okay. Now connect the nails to the two terminals of 6-volt battery through a bulb and switch as shown in figure. Now you have to make a circuit. Okay, in your electricity chapter you might have learned it, or you will learn about it. So you have to complete the circuit. So what you have to do over here, you have to connect these two nails, okay, with the 6-volt battery, a bulb and a switch. Okay, so in this way which is shown in the picture, like this you have to connect the circuit. Then now pour some dilute hydrochloric acid in the beaker and switch on the current. Now see, we have taken dilute hydrochloric acid in the beaker, then you have to switch on the button. Okay, so once again let us see what we have done. We have taken 100 ml beaker. In 100 ml beaker, we have taken a rubber cork. In the rubber cork, we have inserted two nails. These nails are connected to a circuit. Okay, so in this circuit, what we have taken? We have taken 6-volt battery, a bulb, and a switch. Now you have to switch on the button. Okay, when you switch on the button, what will happen? Okay, that you have to record. Then take out this hydrochloric acid. Now pour the dilute sulfuric acid. Okay, take out this hydrochloric acid. Now take the sulfuric acid, again switch on the button, then check the observation and write it down. So in the case of hydrochloric acid and sulfuric acid, what do we observe? Okay, that you have to mention. Repeat the experiment separately with glucose and alcohol solutions. Then what do you observe? Okay, does the bulb glows in all the cases? So first understand that what is the activity. Okay, we will discuss about the observation, but first understand the activity. Okay, so first we have taken hydrochloric acid, then we have switched on the button, something happened. Then we have taken sulfuric acid, switch on the button, again you will find some of the observations. Then take the glucose, then switch on the button, then take the alcohol. Okay, don't mix the solution. You have to take the solution separately. Okay, you are not supposed to mix it. Okay, now the observation part. So we observe that the bulb will start glowing in the case of acids as shown in the figure. So if you look at the figure, you will see that the bulb glows only in the case of acid. Means when you have taken dilute hydrochloric acid and dilute sulfuric acid, at that time the bulb starts to glow. Whereas you will observe that glucose and alcohol solutions do not conduct electricity. In the next case, what you have taken, that is glucose, then you have taken alcohol. Okay. In that cases, the bulb, it will not glow. Okay. Glowing of bulb indicates that there is a flow of electric current through the solution. Okay. Now the bulb is glowing in the case of acids. Okay. So what it shows? It shows that the current is flowing in the solution. That is, the current is passing in the solution. That is hydrochloric acid and sulfuric acid. In the second case, that is in glucose and alcohol, the bulb is not glowing. Why? Because there is no flow of current. Okay, the electric current is carried through the solution by ions. Since the cation, which is a positive charge present in acids, is H+, this suggests that acids produce hydrogen ions, that is H plus ion, in solution, which are responsible for their acidic properties. Now, why this bulb was glowing? This bulb was glowing because there is the ion present. Okay, which ion? H plus ion. See, hydrochloric acid. The formula is HCl. Okay, so in this case, what happens? There is H plus ion, that is H plus positive charge, Cl negative charge. Okay, so H plus ion, it was responsible. So that H plus ion, what it is? It is the acidic property. It is the characteristics of the acid. Okay, so these acids, they produce hydrogen ions, that is H plus ion, which is a positive charge. Okay, so because of that, the bulb was glowing. The same case in the sulfuric acid, that is H2SO4. So H, okay, that is a positive charge. SO4, it is a negative charge. Okay. Repeat the same activity using alkalis such as sodium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, etc. Now you can perform the same activity with the alkalis. Alkalis means base. So in the case of base, what happens? Sodium hydroxide. What is the formula of sodium hydroxide? That is NaOH. Okay, NaOH. So this OH, it is anion. That is a negative charge. Okay, so in this case, find it out whether the bulb will glow or not. Okay, now the question arises, why this glucose and alcohol, they are not glowing the bulb? Okay, because this glucose and alcohol, they don't have any charge. Okay, they don't have any charge. So formula for glucose is C6H12O6. Hydrogen is present, but it won't glow the bulb. In the case of alcohol, that is C2H5OH. Okay, in this case also the bulb is not glowing. Okay, so where hydrogen ion or hydroxide ion is present, in that case the bulb glows. So it is a simple activity. Okay, to understand the similarities of acids and bases. Okay, I hope you do understand. Yes, Rakshita, very good. Okay, it is because of the hydrogen ions. So what can you conclude from the result of this activity? We conclude that the acids and bases, they conducts the electricity. Okay, acid and bases, they conduct the electricity. The next thing, what happens to an acid or a base in a water solution? Okay, now we have to see that what will happen if we take acid in the water or base in the water. Okay, that we are going to learn. To understand this, we are having an activity, that is activity 2.9. Take about 1 gram solid NaCl in a clean and dry test tube and set up the apparatus as shown in figure. Okay, so you can just check in your textbook, that is on page number 23. We are having the image, sorry, a picture. What you have to do, you have to take 1 gram of solid NaCl, that is sodium chloride, in clean and dry test tube. Okay, then you have to arrange the apparatus as shown in the figure. Add some concentrated sulfuric acid to the test tube. Now what you have to do, you have to add the sulfuric acid. So what will happen, NaCl plus H2SO4. Okay, NaCl, it will react with H2SO4 to give you hydrochloric. Okay, hydrogen chloride, that is HCl. Okay, along with the sodium sulfate, that is Na2SO4. Okay, if you want, you can just write it down, that is sodium chloride reacting with sulfuric acid to give hydrogen chloride along with the sodium sulfate. Okay, so what do you observe? Is there a gas coming out of the delivery tube? Yes, the gas is coming out, and that gas is nothing but hydrogen chloride gas. Okay, that is HCl gas. So gas fumes produce but do not turn the blue litmus paper into the red one. Okay. See, when the gas is produced, that is HCl is produced, you have to bring a blue litmus paper near to it. Okay, just look in the figure. Okay, so there what they have done, they have taken a blue litmus paper and they bought it near to the uh, that is the gas fumes. Okay, test the gas evolve successively with dry and wet blue litmus paper. So here what you have to do, you have to take two litmus paper. Okay, one litmus paper should be dry and other litmus paper should be wet. Both should be the blue only. That is blue, dry blue litmus paper, then the blue litmus paper which is wet one. Now you have to react it with the HCl gas. Okay, in which case does the blue litmus paper changes the color. Okay, in which case it changes whether the dry one or the wet one. Okay, that we have to understand. On the basis of above activity, what do you infer about the acidic character of dry HCl gas and HCl solution? Okay, so this is a simple activity. Let us see, check it again. What we have done, we have taken 1 gram of sodium chloride. Okay, then we have added sulfuric acid. When you add the sulfuric acid to sodium chloride, at that time uh, HCl gas is released. Now that HCl gas is treated with dry litmus paper and wet litmus paper. Both the litmus paper should be blue. Okay, so what do you observe? You observe that there is no reaction between dry litmus paper and the HCl gas. Okay, whereas there is a reaction between wet litmus paper and HCl gas. Okay, now why it is so? We'll see that. This experiment suggests that hydrogen ions in HCl are produced in the presence of water. The separation of H plus ions from HCl molecules cannot occur in the absence of water. Now, what does this experiment suggest? This experiment suggests that hydrogen ions, which is present in the HCl gas, okay, H plus ion, which is present in HCl, it is produced only in the presence of water. If water is there, then only it will be produced. Okay, so the separation of H plus ion from HCl. Now we have to take out that H plus from HCl. Okay, so how it is, it can be done only in the presence of water. If there is no water, that is if the water is absent, then it cannot be separated. So see here we are having an equation. So this HCl, it is reacting with water to give us H3O plus and the Cl is taken out. Okay, so this reaction or this equation, this takes place only in the presence of water. If water is not there, then how can we take out this hydronium ion? So this H3O plus, it is called as hydronium ion. So hydrogen ions cannot exist alone, but they exist after combining with water molecules. Thus, hydrogen ions must always be shown as H plus or hydronium ion, that is H3O plus. So hydrogen ions, they cannot exist alone. It cannot be formed alone. So if you want to take out hydronium, that is H plus ion, it should react with water. Okay. So here you can see this H plus, when it reacts with water, H plus, when it reacts with water, it gives you hydronium ion, that is H3O plus. We have seen that acids give H3O or H plus ion in water. Let us see what happens when the base is dissolved in water. So in the case of acid, what we have seen, acid gives H plus ion or H3O plus ion. Now what does this base gives? Okay, what will happen if base is reacting with water, or when the base is dissolved in water? So here you can see we are having an example, that is sodium hydroxide. So when this sodium hydroxide is dissolved in water, it gives Na plus and OH minus. Okay, so here we got uh, the sodium hydroxide, it's splitted into ions. Okay, sodium hydroxide, it's splitted into ions, that is Na plus OH minus. Now take the example of potassium hydroxide. See here, KOH. KOH gives you K plus OH minus. Then magnesium hydroxide, it gives you Mg plus and OH minus. Now see, in every case, okay, in every case, that is the base, when it reacts with water, it is giving OH minus and OH minus. So what it says, bases generate hydroxide ions in water. Bases are soluble in water are called alkalis. Okay, so which ion is released in the case of bases, that is OH minus. Okay, in the case of acid, it is giving H plus. Okay, so what it shows or what it concludes, it concludes that acids are having H plus ion, whereas bases are having OH minus ions. Okay, and the bases which are soluble in water, those are called as alkalis. Now, as we have identified that all acids generate H plus and all bases generate OH minus, we can view the neutralization reaction as follows. Now we know that gases generate H plus ion and the bases generate OH minus ion. So we can write a neutralization reaction. Okay, so what is this neutralization reaction? Let us see. So here you can see that when an acid is treated with base, it gives you salt and water. Okay, so when an acid reacts with base, it gives you salt and water. So that is called as neutralization reaction. So here H, it is the H plus ion, X, it is a metal, sorry, non-metal. M, it is a metal. OH, it is the uh, OH minus ion. So here Mx, that is the salt, and HOH, it is the water. It is nothing but H2O. Okay, two molecules of hydrogen and one molecule of oxygen. Okay, so here we got the water. So what happens when an acid and base reacts? When an acid, that is H plus, and base OH minus, when they react, it gives us water. So this is the neutralization reaction. Now let us see next activity, activity 2.10. In this activity, you have to take 10 ml of water in a beaker. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so what you have to do, you have to take a beaker. In that beaker, you have to take 10 ml of water. Now, you have to add few drops of concentrated sulfuric acid. Okay, concentrated means which is very strong acid. Okay, if that acid falls on the skin, it will burn. Okay, so here you have to take out the experiment carefully. Okay, then okay, let us see what we have done. We have taken a beaker. In the beaker we have taken 10 ml of water. Okay, in that you have to add few drops of concentrated sulfuric acid and swirl it the beaker slowly. Means you have to shake the beaker slowly, carefully. Okay, now touch the base of the beaker. Okay, now touch at the bottom of the beaker. Is there a change in temperature? Is this an exothermic or endothermic process? Repeat the activity with sodium hydroxide pellets and record your observation. Okay. Now, when you have taken concentrated sulfuric acid and water, at that time what happened? There was increase in temperature. The beaker became hot. Okay. So this is a exothermic reaction. Why it is an exothermic reaction? Because heat is released. Okay, heat is released. Okay, now you have to carry out the same experiment with sodium hydroxide. In the case of sodium hydroxide, when you touch the beaker, it will become cold. Okay, so when we touch the bottom of the beaker, it feels hot. Diluting an acid or base into water is an exothermic reaction. Okay, so the reaction is exothermic. So exothermic means a reaction where heat is released. Here, hydrogen ions interact with water molecules and form hydronium ion. That is, hydrogen ion H plus react with water to give you hydronium, that is H3O plus, which we have learnt in our previous case. In this process, heat evolves which makes the beaker hot. Okay, that is exothermic reaction. The process of dissolving an acid or a base in water is highly exothermic one. Okay, when you react acid with water or base with water, listen, when you react or dissolve acid with water or base with water, it is a highly exothermic one. Means it will release huge amount of heat. So care must be taken when mixing concentrated nitric acid or sulfuric acid with water. So when you are dissolving the nitric acid or sulfuric acid, you should uh, uh, take the care. Okay, it should be done under the special care or the teacher's assistant, you can say. The acid must always be added slowly to water with a constant stirring. So when you are adding the acid to the water, you should stir it continuously and slowly. If water is added to concentrated acid, the heat generated may cause the mixture to splash out and cause burn. Okay, so if you add water to the concentrated acid, at that time what will happen? The heat will be generated and the mixture will splash out. Okay, so you can see over here, see in this picture, acid is added to water. That is correct. You should always add the acid to water. Don't add water to acid. Okay, don't add water to acid. Why you should not add water to acid? If you add water to acid, then what will happen? The mixture, it will splash out. Okay, the mixture will splash out and it will cause burn. Okay, why? Because huge amount of heat is generated, whereas in this case heat is generated but you are continuously stirring it. Okay, so here it is under controllable, but over here it is not like that. The glass container may also break due to excessive local heating. Look out for the warning sign on the can of concentrated sulfuric acid and on the bottle of sodium hydroxide pellets. Okay, so such kind of sign you can find on the sulfuric acids or other acids and on the bases also. So what it indicates that special care should be taken while handling this acid or bases. It may cause the burning. Okay, so mixing an acid or base with water results in decrease in the concentration of ions. So when you mix the acid or base with water, then what will happen? The concentration of ions, that is H plus ion or OH minus ion, it will decrease. Okay, it will decrease. So such a process is called as dilution, and the acid or base is said to be diluted. Okay, so when concentrated acid or concentrated base, it is added in the water. Okay, at that time H plus ion or OH minus ion, its concentration it goes on decreasing, then it will become diluted acid or diluted base. Okay, so by this we have completed the first part of the chapter. Now anyone who is having any kind of doubt, let me know. Concentrated base need aqueous medium to turn. Very good, Sakshi. That's the correct answer. That concentrated acids and base they require the aqueous solution. Yes. So this is the answer for your activity 2.9. That's the correct answer. Okay. If anyone having any kind of doubt, okay, what we have to write. So whatever things we have learned, okay, whatever things we have learned, you have to write down the notes. For example, if I ask you that why you are not supposed to add water to acid, what will be your answer? What happens when you add water to acid? Yes, what will happen when you add water to acid? Yes, excessive heat will be there. Then what will happen to the person? It will, yes, very good. It will splash at and can cause burn. Very good. Yes, very good. No problem if you have written the exercise. Yes, the glass may break due to overheat. Very good. Very good. Okay, so next question. Uh, I'll just take the names of some of the samples and let me know whether it will conduct electricity or not. Okay, I'll just take out some of the names of the samples. Just let me know whether they conduct electricity or not. Okay, sulfuric acid,